Now it's time to go down to Brunswick and Glenn County and catch up with our friend Shawn Williams, the program director at Coastal Outreach Soccer. Coach, thanks for dropping by this morning. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you for having us, man. It's always a pleasure.
When you turned 20, I mean, that's a big number for what anyone does when it comes to efforts for growing a sport on any level. Has it sunk in that Coastal Outreach is now 20?
No, it hasn't. I mean, it's been a whirlwind with planning our kickoff celebration, but definitely never saw this coming. Never, you just go to work, right? You just go to work and just one day at a time, man. And you look up and it's like, wow, we've been at this for 20 years.
Do you remember your first day on the job?
So yeah, in some yes, it's great to still be in the same park in which we start. So the other week, I actually just walked out onto the field and just stood there and just looked at amazement at just how far we've come. But to be honest with you, now I don't have a soccer playing background, a soccer coaching background. So my first day on starting this was like, how the world do we start to teach this game? But definitely, man, it's been a love affair from day one.
What's it been like for you to learn the sport in addition to helping others learn the sport and learn about the sport? How much of an education has this been for you in this whole time?
It's been tremendous. And I can tell you this, in the beginning, I really relied on my boys, my sons, and my daughter that they had started playing the game. And so I would go in there and ask them about terminology. And, I would go and stand back and just watch other coaches. But it has been, I share people with, it combines so much of all of the things I love in sports. This is the ultimate player's game. I was always that type of athlete that, hey man, just give me the game plan and let me go out there and execute. So it has been a tremendous effort, but I have enjoyed it, every minute of it. Just learning this game and really falling in love with the game, right? So this is 18 to 20 hours a day, 7 days. But it never seems that way. It's like I'm falling asleep thinking about this game, and I'm waking up thinking about this game, and it's so exciting every day to get to do this.
When you look at how the sport has grown on the coast, for someone who drives by on I-95 and they just sit there and they get gas, and they'll go to the big exit with the car dealerships right there. They'll get their gas to go back on the way. Believe me, from the time that I've spent down there with Pirates and Red Terrors, I know all about that property, sir. When you have folks who may not know what the sport is and what it means, how would you describe how it has become part of the fabric down there in Brunswick and Glenn County, and where has it come from? You mentioned your own education. What has it been like to see it grow, and how is it a part of the fabric down there?
So when we started this, it was, hey, can we recruit 6 kids? Can we go out and find 6 kids to start playing some 3v3 with, that type of stuff, to now, this year, we're going to have 4 travel teams, right? And so this is the first time for us to reach, and then having another 50 to 60 elementary age students that are also participating. One of the things when we started this, and I don't know how it was for you in your childhood, right? We would go play pickup, right? It would be, hey man, let's get our boys together, and whether it was it's basketball time or football time, and we would just go from neighborhood to neighborhood just playing pickup. And that was one of the things that when we started this, we wanted to see. Can we start pickup? Where you start to see kids just out here with a ball. We just create the space for them. This past summer, we had our summer camps, and that's what it became, pickup. Hey, coach, we going out with the ball, and they would organize themselves, and you see the creativity. You see it. Hey, today we doing rainbows, right? And you see the kids out here trying to do rainbows on each other, and it's like, hey, we could care less about the scoring, but hey, can I nutmeg you? Can I rainbow you? Can I flip this ball over you? So you see that growth from a community that had no idea what a soccer ball looked like, what this game meant, to have a group of middle school and high school boys and girls now being connected globally to the game, being connected to Atlanta United, being connected to the collegiate game. That's what we see. So the sport is continuing to grow, but it's a new generation that says, okay, just give me the ball, and let me get out here and be creative. And that's what we're starting to see.
Shawn Williams, Program Director at Coastal Outreach Soccer down on the coast there in Brunswick, as they turn 20, hanging out with us here on the morning show. I mean, for me growing up, yeah, it's like you're going out into the neighborhood, you're playing pickup, you're yelling across the street, you're grabbing your friends, you're grabbing the kid that, might not necessarily be a part of the group, but you yell it because you need even numbers anyway.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And you're out there until the parents sit there and they start yelling your name, and then they yell your full name, and then it's time to come inside for dinner. Mm-hmm. That's the way it was when I was growing up back in the days of black and white television and only 3 channels. But it sounds like to me that this labor of love that you and Neil Dawson and Otis Muhammad and Jalen and some guy named Shawn Jr. Are a part of. It has turned into this labor of love that still has a lot of growing to do.
Oh yes, it does. I can tell you this: we're having college coaches now starting to discover what we have. We're that diamond in the rough type of situation where, so they're starting to see that, but you're starting to see just how much these kids enjoy the sport, just want to play it all day, every day, and just need that access. And that's what we're providing, that access. Our students are participating, and there's no cost. There is no cost to them. We're out here. We raise all of the funds, and our community and corporate sponsors just have been great in that aspect. But just to see every day wanting to say, no, you cannot go out on the field today. Y'all need to come inside. It's 90 plus degrees out here. You can't be out here. No, then they'll come inside the building, and now they're juggling in the building. It's like, man, just put the ball down for 5 minutes, right?
Well, but I mean, that's kind of like that double-edged sword we talk about, where you get them interested and then you get them hooked. And yes. Then when you see a young boy or girl turn into someone who understands what teamwork is, understands all of the things that soccer brings to the table, that to me, I would posit pretty simply is part of what makes it worthwhile on a bunch of different fronts. When you see that light come on for someone who comes in under your tent and they learn about the game, but then they finally get it and you get to see that moment happen. What's that like for you guys when you get to see the light come on?
When you see it come on, it is something of amazement, because you start to see them take command and start to dictate, right? And they're then sharing that. And I think that's one of the other great parts of this, right? That our alums, our current players, they're always sharing that information. And we had a deal where we had one of our alums, his nephew, was out on the field with a bunch of our players one day. And he said, "Coach, can you go get me a marker?" And I'm like, "What do you need a marker for?" He's 7 years old. He's like, "I want some autographs." I'm like, So I go out and get him a marker, and he's walking around. You know, none of these guys are professional players, and you know, but in his eyes, right, he see them doing something now at the age that he loves. You know, he's all, you know, talking to his uncle and his grandfather is Coach Otis. You know, he actually started playing this game on vacation with an orange, dribbling a orange across the floor while they were on vacation. And that's how he started playing this game. And that's the purity. And I think that's what we are really striving to have, is just being the pure part of this game and the joy that comes with it, and all of the life lessons and the experiences that our students get to have with traveling out of Brunswick and visiting all the cities and all the places throughout the state of Georgia. And so that's that light bulb when they get it, and it's saying, wow, you know, Coach, I can't, you know, like one of the young men shared with me, soccer is life.
When you get to tour the state, how much of an education is it for you, where you can bring back information and continue to add things to coastal outreach? I would imagine that when you go to other places, and some of them might be, and I'm going to use air quotes, atypical soccer communities, you know, where everyone might gravitate to Atlanta or Statesboro or what have you when it comes to the high school ranks. But if you go to an atypical soccer community and you tour with coastal outreach, how much do you learn and how much feedback do you get from all of these other places that you visit? How much of an exchange of information is there, and how much do you learn from each other?
So one, I'm gonna speak from our kids' standpoint, our students. Especially when we go to Atlanta, you know, you got to realize some of our students never been really off their block until they're traveling with us. And so, you know, they've seen high-rise buildings on TV, but to ride through downtown Atlanta, and just to see them glued to the windows, and, you know, Coach, I've never seen buildings this tall before. And so some of the things that we sometimes take for granted is so monumental in the lives of a lot of the students that we work with. So it's always that exchange, right? Riding through, going into a soccer complex, and you're riding by houses that are, you know, are just immaculate. And they're in awe about that as well. So it's the simple things that really drives us and drives them to say, you know, Coach, I've never seen this before. For us on the other side, it isn't a great, I've always, when we visit complexes, it's always good to get there. And I like to sometimes take a step back, because I'm always looking, how do I learn from this game? You know, what are other coaches doing? What are other programs doing that we can come back and add to? Because again, especially in the beginning of this process, we were trying to learn. And then, you know, and it's always a good exchange of information. So so we get a lot of questions of, how are you able to sustain what you're doing? You know, how are you able to go out and recruit? You've been working with the school system for 20 years, the public housing for 20 years, the city for 20 years. How have you managed those relationships? And then being able to grow from, like I say, a small group to now serving over 200 students. And I'm saying we're serving 200 families. And we found that that's our magic number. Some people have asked us, can you grow bigger? And we tried that. And it's like, no, we don't know the families and we don't know the children. And that's important. So it's always a great dialogue of exchanging information. And we play a system that's, you know, a 4-3-3 system. And I really spent some time with IAX videos in the beginning. And so I somehow found this group of tapes, and it was like, okay, total football. And that's what we have built our program based on that philosophy of total football.
Total football in Glenn County and Brunswick. I love it. You mentioned something that I did want to get into, and it's navigating the off the field and the financial landscape. You said that you found your sweet spot at 200 families. How difficult is it economically to be consistent and sustain and stay in that sweet spot of 200 when it comes to navigating economics? How difficult is it these days?
It's very hard, so every year, every day, every month, it is, how do we raise the funds, right? How do we, and we're talking about providing uniforms. We're talking about providing free after school program for 6th grade to 12th grade students. We're talking about our STEM and academic and the college visits, bringing in college coaches. So it is, we cover the transportation. We provide the meal when we are out of town. We provide weekly fresh produce. So it is very difficult, at times. And sometimes, I'm gonna be honest, sometimes we are saying, how are we going to make it this month? But somehow we've always been able to make it through with making the adjustments. But we have always said we are not. We know we're going to be at our 200, and every one of our students is very important. I mean, we take them into the sporting goods store. And so some of our students, and we didn't realize this in the beginning, that we would have some parents come over to us and say, this is really their first experience when you're saying, here's your budget, and you can go out and choose the item that you want, that you need in order to be, whether that's a pair of socks, a pair of shin guards, for our girls' sports bras, and so again, and getting your foot measured, so that you are actually purchasing a pair of shoes that fit your foot versus walking into a thrift store and saying, hey, I like that pair of shoes. And so whether that shoe is the right size or not, you like it. So that's what you get. So again, it's the simple things, but it is very difficult sometimes financially to navigate this landscape. But we understand that we have no other choice. We have to figure it out for our families, for our students, and we know the impact, not only in Glenn County, but on the state, that our program is having, when we're traveling and we're getting those interactions with other clubs.
And the other reason that we wanted to have you on this week is because we talk about you turning 20. It's a special night tomorrow from 6 to 9 for those that are anywhere within earshot of you. Now that Debbie's out of the way,
yes,
and everybody's back to getting on the roads. Special night tomorrow from 6 to 9 at Queen and Grant. Tell everybody about it.
So we're going to kick off our 20th-year celebration tomorrow night with a celebration dinner. We're going to be having, so live music with a jazz performer from 6 to 7. Then a great dinner has been planned, and then you're going to get to hear some impact stories. Some impact stories from, COS students, alums, volunteers, our mayor, and just for us to take a moment. And that's going to be our moment right there, right? To just sit and take it in that, hey, we're turning 20, but we have a lot of things planned over this next 12 months that we will be celebrating each month. But tomorrow night is the kickoff. And if you're here, if you're near Glenn County, please come out and celebrate with us. Come break bread, as they say, with us tomorrow night and listen to some great music and some great fellowship with those that love soccer, Those that don't have any idea what soccer is, but love children and seeing that their development.
Looking forward to it. You can get your tickets at coastaloutreachsoccer.com. All one word, coastaloutreachsoccer.com. Coach, love what you guys are doing down there at Coastal Outreach, what you guys have done for the last 19 years, what you're looking to do for the next 1900 years as you turn 20 down there in Brunswick. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for the education. And go have an amazing amount of fun tomorrow night down there. And we wish you nothing but the best. And don't be a stranger. Check in anytime.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for having us.